painting the walls and see if we can see how far off the ground he is here. Yeah, these are pretty nice cabins.
They're very nice.
I'll let you look at me with these sheets. No, I see them big old.
You know, horse nose. Like, well, good morning, everyone.
Hi.
This is Mark.
And I'm Shelley.
And we're sitting here on the back deck of the most recently completed treehouse. If you hear noise over that way, that's another treehouse that's in the middle of being constructed. Actually, it's just started. The construction has just started on it. Randy's over there building the deck for it. And so we stayed in this one last night and the night before, doing a test drive of it. It's called the Missouri Boat Ride, and it's the most recent one, and we'll put a link to the video of it at the end of this video. But we wanted to continue on. It's been a little while since we did the last video, and talk a little bit about our unplanned adventure and how it all turned out. I mean, it ultimately brought us here and beyond. But on the last video, we talked about how we got started accidentally by trying to buy some cabins to use as a family retreat. And it was, I remember we were in the one campground on summer solstice, June 21st. And it was the longest day of the summer, or the first day of the summer, but the longest day of the year. And we were out earlier in this video, you see us skipping rocks across the lake at almost midnight, and the sun it was still light out there. So the reason we mention that is because there was two significant things that happened on that trip. The first one was, I think, our second trip as a family, an extended family, where we were trying to establish sort of the family getaway, the family recreation, the family retreat, and that idea in our kids. And the more significant thing that, to me, that happened was one of the resorts that we stayed in while we were up there. There was one morning that we got in, we were already there, and I got up and was working on the fire, and a guy came around and was snapping pictures, and I thought, well, that's a little weird, but he asked, he says, do you mind if I take a couple pictures of you? I said, no, that's fine. And I got to talking with him, and he was the brand new owner of that property, and about this, and he had just literally, like the day before, closed on that property and became the new owner of it. And so I had 100 questions about resort properties and all of that. And he had mentioned that he had a couple other resorts, one over in Ely and then one up in Canada somewhere that was like kind of like a hunting, fishing, fly-in type of a resort. And this one was on Lake Kabetogama. Can't say that very fast. About the idea that he had 3 resorts really struck me as I never thought about that before. And so we had one little resort down in southwest Missouri that only had 4 cabins on a very small footprint of land. So we had a really good talk with Dan, and it just inspired me to think bigger than what we had thought before. We worked on trying to figure out how do we build these 4 little cabins into something that could, sustain a lifestyle and an income. And just was having a hard time trying to figure it out.
We had a house next door that was close to the cabins, and we decided that needed to be bought because We didn't know who could move in and create a mess. In fact, it was quite a mess when we bought it.
Yeah, it was already a big mess. The weeds were growing up about 6 feet high. There was junk all over the yard. It was a foreclosure house, and we were in the process of building a privacy fence between our property and that property just to conceal it. And one day we saw someone kind of snooping around up there and went up and talked to him. It turned out it was a bank. It was the bank that had owned that property. And we went and met with them, I think the very next day, and negotiated a price that was actually quite a bit lower than what was owed on the house, because banks have the ability to do that. Just in case you didn't know that, you can get them cheaper than what. We'll start over with that. Hi, this is Martin. Adventure travel. Imagine that.
And so we put an offer in, and that same day, another person put an offer in, and they wanted it too. We didn't let our banker know that we were going to get it absolutely. So when the bidding war began, we decided to up our price, and the other people that were bidding decided that they had enough of this bidding war, so they decided to decline it. So we ended up with the property.
Yep. And it was a big cleanup. It was here's a funny thing about it. It was like a hoarder had lived in there and just walked away. There was junk piled to the ceilings. In fact, the house was so full that the banker thought it was a 2-bedroom house when they went in, because you couldn't really get into it without just crowding your way through all of the stuff. And he thought it was, honestly, he thought it was a 2-bedroom house. When we started cleaning it out there a few weeks later, we discovered there was actually, it was a 3-bedroom house. There was a bedroom that you couldn't even get to. And,
it was boarded up, and there was a TV in front of it and all that, so it made it look like there was just one real big room. But
so happened, I mean, you won't get this every time, but because there was so much stuff in there, we started a perpetual 3-week-long yard sale of all of the stuff that was in the house. And as we moved it out, we just marked prices on it as we moved it out, and we moved things out all day long, every day for 3 weeks. And we actually ended up selling enough stuff to make up for the down payment that we made on the house. So we sort of got the down payment for free with all of the stuff that was on the inside of it.
About 4 days before Christmas, Martin announced, hey, I think it's going to be great if we have our family come over and we do Christmas here. I'm looking at him going, you've got to be kidding. We don't even have the cabinets hung. So
Christmas Eve, the family showed up, and it was our son, our 2 daughters, the one daughter's husband, and Shelly and I, and we had some other people, other family, extended family show up for Christmas, but the Christmas Eve was just us. And so I took the boys down to the wood shop, and we started building kitchen cabinet boxes, not the frames and everything, but the base
to have
cabinets.
To put something
and
on.
Early Christmas morning, we were hauling cabinet boxes up into the kitchen and installing them, and slapped down a plywood countertop. And that was our Christmas kitchen, and it worked, and we all had a good time and loved it.
And our girls, they seen a couple little Christmas trees that I had, and they did decorations, and it just looked really cute. We had it enough done that it made it worth it, and
worked.
the memories that we made in our cabin was awesome.
Yeah, so we worked through the winter time living there, and on into the spring. We started marketing the cabins again for rent, pretty seriously, and we were getting a lot of calls. And that year was 2012, and it was such a hot summer.